lap number 9 of the race. Currently just under 14 minutes elapsed now, and currently just looking at the overall leader at the moment, Heiko Kalvenbach. He's currently got a 9.3 second lead over Lance Loomis, so he's got a huge advantage with just under a quarter of this race elapsed. The closest battle in the GTEs at the moment is still the front two of Daniel Juncadella and Ramez Azam. A little bit further back as well, there's a couple of battles, Alan Day and Fabio Rule. And then in the GT3s, you still got the top three of Lou Palagallon, Dominic Ferreras and Elliot Biddle, very, very close together. Not much separating between those three drivers, just about 1.1 seconds between those three.
Yeah, and keeping an eye with the GT3, we did have a little bit of contact with a couple of GT cars trying to work their way through in the form of Jasper Delaka and Marcia Alexander having a little bit of contact, and unfortunately both those cars out just prior to the entry into turn 6 there. So they were trying to work past this battle of GT3 cars, which you can see up on screen now, and not going to be the run for them tonight. However, the GT3's really close together. The gap's just extended a little bit in favour of Gallon right now. It's pushed out to 0.4 of a second, and we'll see under the draft Ferraris will come right back. But they have started to drop Biddle off just a touch now. That gap to Ferraris for Biddle just over 0.5 of a second.
Yeah, so we'll see what their lap times are this time around for the top three in GT3, and it's going to be a 1 minute 42.4 for Gallon, 42.2 for Ferraris, and a 42.3 for Biddle. So looks as though that Ferraris is trying to put the pressure back on, closing in about 0.2 of a second last time around. Going through the International Horseshoe, taking very, very similar lines, running it out all the way to the exit there. Typically you'd see the prototypes running just to the white line there, but with the traction control of the GT3s, they're able to get away with it. Just cutting to Max Maltino at the moment. He's got Dennis Fielder just behind him, and Christopher Zerchling at the moment in the GT3 for Simza as well. So coming onto the banking right now, and it looks as though that the GTE trying to get the overtake done on the GT3, but it's very, very difficult with the fact that the Mercedes has got very, very high torque and top end. And so we'll see whether the BMW is going to make a move on the inside to the bus stop, and the BMW is going to have to pull out of it, so he's going to lose a lot of time there. That's allowing Dennis Fielder to catch back up, stay within the 1/4 of a second that he has.
Yeah, not much between Smolato and Fielder. Those two very equally matched far at that right pace. You can see the the Mercedes there of Christopher Zoching just allowing these guys to come through. He's struggling a little bit, I saw last time by getting up onto the oval there with the car, just wiggling a little bit, and he'll try and make it a little bit easier. You see a touch of smoke from a lock brake as these guys work their way down into one now.
That was a bit of a mistake there for Smoltino, and that's going to allow Zochling to get back on the inside there, and Fielder's going to move up as well. So the BMW, with that costly mistake, moves up a position, and that is 11th and 12th in the GTEs for Fielder and Smoltino. Just looking at our prototype field again. Lance Loomis currently battling with Taylor Lane. This is the battle for 2nd and 3rd overall. But fairly consistent between these two drivers actually. Last time Loomis was able to pull away about 0.08 of a second. Both in the mid to high 38s at the moment. Kalvenbach still in the low 38s. And the gap has extended to near enough 10 seconds.
Both cars looking pretty good though, it must be said. I mean, Loomis there with a little bit of exit or mid-quarter to exit oversteer on the run out of turn 5 up into the start of the oval there. But all in all, the cars between both these two looking very good and really competitive as far as lap time go, which is probably a good thing for these guys moving on towards the 24 next.
Yeah, we've got the Daytona 24 this weekend here on iRacing. I think the first time slot I think is 1 AM GMT on the Saturday, and then the broadcasted split is at 1300 GMT with the race start time of 13:30 GMT, and that'll be on the iRacing Esports Network if I'm not mistaken. So certainly this race being a precursor for the exciting Daytona 24 is certainly going to be a cracking race to certainly at least spectate. I know that there'll be a lot of teams out there trying to get as much data as they can before to then take into the race for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean that's the one advantage with a race like this. Just before it, you can certainly give those setups a good run. Obviously, these guys have done a lot of testing in the lead up to next weekend, but to be able to go and put everything you've learned in practice into race conditions and really get a good solid understanding, there's nothing better as far as a race driver to be able to do that. So they'll get a huge amount of data as a result of this. Potentially you'll see a few more tweaks out of these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Taylor Lane just running a little bit too deep and having to get off the power a little bit, but recovers, and Loomis running all the way out to the curb on the exit there. Typically you don't want to run all the way out wide like Loomis did that time, but certainly gets away with it.
And I'm surprised he's not able to make as much of an inroad in the draft there. You can see it starting to close up as we run up towards the brake marker. The guy's jumping on the acres just before the one board, and you can see a little bit of traffic up ahead, which is going to come into play. So that, if anything, will probably help Loomis just extend the gap just a touch, as he can use that to his advantage. But they should have these two cleared well and truly before the run into one.
So Cole back into the 37s. See what the lap time